All right, ladies, welcome to this episode of the She is Extraordinary podcast. I am joined by my friend, Makita Smith. She is the growth wealth strategist. And I know Makita way back when she first started, or about that time when she first started Savvy Chicks in real estate. But now Makita helps six-figure earners scale to seven figures. And she does that through digital products and different revenue streams that she teaches her clients. So welcome, Makita. I'm so excited for our time together.
Yes. Hey, Julie. I'm glad to be here. I am excited about what God is doing in your life, as well. I see that the membership, is growing. So I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, Makita is one of the Thriver experts inside the Blessed to Thrive Academy. Of course, she is our social media guru there. So I just want to go back a little bit in time, Makita. Mm-hmm. When you and I first met, okay, Jan and I had just begun Girls Guide to Outrageous Real Estate Success. Mm-hmm. We had just started in business together, she and I, in that summer of 2017. And I came across you and Savvy Chicks. And I immediately, invited you to join the group, and I loved what you were doing. And I just kind of want to go back to that point in time, because I think that was early on in your entrepreneurial journey, right?
Well, entrepreneurial journey, it started in 2004 when I became a real estate agent.
Yeah, right.
Savvy Chicks in Real Estate, 2017, October 2017. So it was right around, that time. And then you reached out, in a DM, which I was like, oh, I like that. And so just your personality coming through the DM and being inviting, warm. And so I joined in the group, and I just, have been there ever since. And so you and I, Jan, developed a relationship, spoke at the conference that you ladies had, which was amazing in Virginia. And then it has been, a relationship that we have collaborated ever since then.
Right. And Savvy Chicks in Real Estate was really impressive for me, how you pivoted from real estate. You were killing it in real estate, in particular, the BPOs and the REOs, right? Mm-hmm. Am I right about that? But you branched out into branding and social media marketing. So how did that come about?
So I know it's like, okay, you go from, it's like, you are in different seasons that God has you in. And so I was doing real estate, for all of these different years. And so when I didn't have a social media presence, so about 5 years ago, I finally had a social media presence where I began to really take my Instagram page really serious and became really targeted with the content that I was creating. So as I began to educate on my platform, to go live, to post, educational resources, and even create my own digital products, which, back then was all free, other agents started reaching out to me saying, hey, who's doing your marketing? Who's doing your branding? And I'm like, it's me. And so one person reached out, which was one of my first clients. And she said, I would like to pay you to do what you're doing for yourself. And so I never thought about, social media management or having a marketing agency. It did not cross my mind at all. And so I started to do it just for that one client. That client started to, get business. And then her client started asking her, who's doing this for you? And so really a lot of my clientele, it came from her initially in the beginning, because they were seeing the work that I was doing for her. And it's like one person recognized something in me before I could see it in myself. And so my husband recognized, and he said, I think you should get your real estate license. And I'm like, I don't want to be a realtor. And so, but eventually I wound up doing it, and I was great at it. And so then this person reached out, was like, can you do my social media? And so I was like, I don't want to do social media, but let's try it out and let's see. And so now it has developed into an entire marketing agency. So I'm blown away myself.
Yeah. So I just want to tell you, way back when, no, it was the summer of 2019, I guess, when you had your awesome conference, Licensed and Unbothered, and I was honored to speak there. And I met one of your clients, Rosina Pierce, at the Biz Lawyer. Ladies, you've got to check out the Biz Lawyer, okay? I just saw she did a post, 1.6 million in sales in 2020. Woo! And that is, she's an amazing lawyer, but it is in no small part because of you and your marketing genius, really. I mean, I remember when you and I were chatting, when you had clients, but you were really still focused more on the savvy chicks in real estate specifically, right? And I said, well, help me understand kind of how you think. And you were like, Judy, you gave this great idea, Makita. You said, go look at some magazines and look at what's trending. And there's just one little tip you gave me. And then look at that and see if you can incorporate that into your social media. Yeah. And it's that kind of outside the box thinking that, is the reason why you are where you are. I just loved it.
Yeah. And so you just you let the cat out of the bag. Like that is the first client that I had was attorney Pierce Rosina, who is the biz lawyer on Instagram. And it was her page that, I managed for years. And now with us, growing and her growing, she has a whole marketing team. So instead of it just being me, which I don't know how I was doing all of that stuff for her, but now we have 3 other women who are on the marketing team. So it's 4 of us in total. And then for all of her marketing content, like you see all of the commercials that she's been shooting, photography. So she has a whole extension of a production team in Atlanta that helps her to put that content together. And so it helped us to be able, everything doesn't fall on me. So now I have been promoted, within her company and her business to be her director of, marketing. And so that's what my agency is to her business now. And when Rosina started, she was, I can't remember where she was. Maybe she was right at 100K. And so then she quickly, when she had that social media presence. But the thing about Rosina that a lot of people, I get people that will say, I want her following. I want, the engagement that she has on her page. It pays for you to make sure that when you hire a marketing company or a marketing team, you have to make sure that you are just as invested in your brand. It's not that you hire a marketing team and you give it over to the marketing team to do. This is still your business. It is still your baby. We are an extension of you. And so one of the things that, helped propel Rosina to that 1.6 million, we thought outside the box as it relates to her marketing content. We became educational. We became a resource for the community. She gives back to the community. And then she also makes sure she shows up. So she does lives. She does
all the time.
Yes. So we put the content out there, but then she has to also, Judy, when you're building a $1 million brand, it's one thing to have the branding and the marketing piece up front, but then when people begin to work with you behind the scenes, can you deliver? Does what they see on social media and your marketing and brochures, does it match the online services or, in-person services that they're getting that you were putting out that you can deliver? And so she's been able to deliver, on that service and hire a team that can help her to deliver on that service.
Absolutely. I just reached out to her, I'd say in the last month, and I talked to a team member. I'm trademarking something and top notch. I mean, white glove service. And I'm always blown away. It seems like she goes live all the time. I feel like she goes live every day. And so that is, that's the thing, ladies, when you're listening here, hear this, and I say it all the time. Posting is not the be all and end all. It's the interaction. It is the reaching out to people and actually leaving meaningful comments and engaging, right? It's not be there and go and not care about the people that are following you. It is, being there for them, as Makita pointed out. I remember in 2019 at that conference in the summer, Rosina was at about 30,000 followers. And now, I don't know where she's at, above 60, right?
Yeah, I think it's 67.
Yeah. So congratulations to both of you, because I know you were instrumental in that, Makita. Well, there was something that I saw in you that shifted last year. And that is why I wanted to bring you on today, because, I think it was 2020 was insane. And I want to say it was around early summer when you posted and said, whoa, I've been so busy, nose to the grindstone. I just looked at my account and I made like $250,000 already. So like, I really want to go back to early 2020. Where was your mindset and what was that shift?
So I would say in December of 2019, I decided to hire a coach. And that was only because when you are in building your business, and I, worked this framework out with my mindset coach, and the framework that I have now that I teach you, like my coaching clients, is that you have to have a growth wealth strategy. And the growth wealth strategy, you go through like these 4 phases. And so the 4 phases is, the first phase is the build. And then the second phase is going to be, the grind, the build, the grind. And then the third phase is going to be the growth and then the harvest. And so in that first phase, I've had been building, Judy, since 2017, with the marketing company. And so then I experienced growth, but my head was down doing the work, to where when I looked up in December of 2019, I'm like, oh my God, how am I doing these clients by myself? And I have like 1 or 2 people that's helping me here and there, like a BA service, and 2 dedicated team members. But then I had talked to the coach and she was like, oh, you need a project management system. You need an online business manager. You need this person. And I'm like, OMG. And so I was just busy doing the work, kind of like what was Rosina. She was busy doing the work. You look up and you have all of this success that's sprouting up around you. And so that's where I found myself at in December. And then in January, I think the firm, or the agency, I would call it, it made maybe about 18K in gross revenue. And so in gross revenue, 18K, that was really huge for me, because I only seen those type of days doing real estate. And it's when I was selling like maybe 4 or 5 properties, like within, 1 month, because of the price point that I was at. And so then from there, I had the conference. And so from the conference, that June, I think I have always hit 33K plus months from June and forward. So when I looked up, I had almost doubled, in my revenue. And so from 18K in January, in December of 2020, when I looked up, Judy, I was at my first ever 36K month, and I didn't sell any real estate for the year of 2020. And I'm still licensed. But what God has done in my life is that now I have a choice to what, if I wanted to take a real estate transaction, I could. But if I did not, I would be okay, because now I have built a business online that has now exceeded my real estate income. And I would have never fathomed, when I started this company in 2017, I think I'm about to get emotional. When I started this company in 2019, I would have never fathomed that this company would have hit this type of revenue, and that God would have done it like at the work of my hands, and these people that I have, on my team now. So now, Judy, as I talked about those 4 stages to building wealth, now I'm really at another standpoint, to where I am making sure that I am going back over and like, I'm not rebuilding, but I'm restructuring, I would say. And so as you've seen on last week, or like this past weekend, I made the announcement that I will no longer be taking on any social media management clients. And even talking to my mentor today, he was like, well, why did you do that? So, yeah, he was like, well, why did you do that? And so I began to explain. And so basically, we're going to be spending the time, because I am scaling. So if I'm going from being at multiple 6 figures and going into 7 figures, that looks very different than being at multiple 6 figures. And so I know that for myself. I know that from seeing, a client get there herself. So now I have to focus more so on retention with my team, hiring, making sure that I have built up a company culture, so that people that come in, I have already set the standard as a leader within my company myself, so that when people come in, they fall right in with the culture that I have set, and the expectations that I have set for my company.
Right. I mean, what you've done is just amazing. And as you mentioned, God is all over it. So, me, I'm a Christian business coach, right? Jesus Christ is Lord of my life, of my business. So I would love you to tell the listeners how your business was impacted by your faith. Like what role did faith have in the success of your business?
Everything, because being in business, it is a faith walk. And so business for me would mean not having any entrepreneurs to go forward in my family that was the model for me. I'm learning it all on my own. And so like with my husband, like even with the real estate brokerage, and when I had the success in real estate, he wound up getting his license to come in to help me to be able to manage all of those properties that we were getting, from the bank, because I was like, I knew, how you have a strategy that you want to try and you see if it works. And then when it works, like it's like an overflow. And so I'm constantly experiencing that. And so I have to, ask God, how do I maintain this? How do I have great integrity with it? And how do I make sure that with what you bless with me with, that I am a good steward over it as well? Because when you I don't know if you heard the saying, but it's like, okay, if God blesses you with 1,000, when you take care of that, like he can bless you with 10,000. But how are you going to treat the 1,000 that he blessed you with? Who are you going to be a blessing to? How are you going to use this? Are you going to be a good steward over it so you can get more? And so it has everything to do with it.
Because I'm curious if you ever did this, and I think the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. When my sister and I decided we weren't going to work together, that was the summer of 2019. Mm-hmm. And I spent a lot of that summer journaling, reading the Bible, praying all the time. Lord God, what's next for me? Right? Mm-hmm. Something unexpected. So I just found that when I just sat there quietly before him and said, Lord, what do you got for me? He was so ready to give it to me. Mm-hmm. It was me that was blocking it. So I'm curious, tell us, if you would, your talks, walks, whatever you want to say, with the Lord as you're growing and getting to this next level. With every level, it gets harder, right? I mean, you have more and more things to handle.
Yes. So at this level, it was hard because even though December was the highest month, I dipped down in January, just because when you're building a team and you're taking your hands off of the team, I had to, so a lot of my clients that I used to personally social media manage myself, a lot of those clients are no longer with me. So I have maybe 40% of those clients are still with me, but a lot of those clients have now gone on, which made it easier for me to say that I will not, do the social media management piece to my business anymore, just because of the micromanaging. And yes, a lot of people that have marketing agencies, they make that work, and where they scale and they have maybe like 20, 30, 40, 50 clients. But the way I have built my marketing business is that there's a lot of customization that goes into the content that I create. And so the issue that I would say that I have as a CEO is being able to duplicate myself and to being able to teach the process. So one of the things that my mentor gave me today, Judy, that I'll share with you and your audience, is that he was like, well, why don't you use like Teachable? And he was like, when you bring people onto your business, create like a course training to before they touch a client's account, before they, work in your company in whatever role, create some type of training for them and use Teachable to where they have to complete, this training before they go forward. And one of the other things that I am incorporating, in my business is having people to take a personality test. Because I need to know, are you the visionary that wants to come into the business, but then you're not, someone who can help me to come in to build? Because you are a visionary, visionary people have a lot of ideas, and that's great, in that role. But if you need them to come in to actually build up systems and processes and things of that nature, that type of personality may not work for a role that you may need. Maybe they may work good in like a COO position, but not necessarily in somebody who is, there to put their hands on the actual, work. And so that's one of the things that I am currently in my business struggling with as I am scaling to the 7 figures. But as far as like being able to come up with, income sources, resources to be able to scale and to get more business, that has never been, an issue for me. But now it's like, okay, how do I retain more? And so that's what I'm doing. And another thing, Judy, is that this year is more focused. I also hired a CFO in my business because I am not the money management person. So I definitely had to delegate that. And as I scale to 7 figures, I don't want to have to be looking and like, okay, well, what did I make? Like, what did I do? What do I owe the IRS? So I don't want that. And so I want to be able to pay on a quarterly basis. So I hired someone in December. So they started as of January 1st. And then that's going to help me to be able to make sure that I have the profits that I want in my business. So now it's about creating more profits rather than just making all of this money.
I love it. And so I use Thinkific, but I like that because I don't have anything like that. That's a beautiful idea. Thank you for sharing that. With getting these systems in place so that it saves you time with the whole onboarding thing. That's awesome. So do you track, well, how about this? What numbers do you track in your business on a regular basis?
So the number that I track on a regular basis is how much is coming in. How much is coming in. So I'm always looking at like how much money I made for the day, how much money I made for the week, how much money that I made for the month. Because if I know what's coming in per day, then it kind of give me an idea of what I'm going to be looking like at the end of the week. At the end of the week, I'm looking like, okay, what will I look like in 30 days? So those numbers I'm always tracking. What I have to get better at tracking in my business as I scale to 7 figures and do what millionaires do is I need to do better with looking at the expenses. Another number that I've been looking at closely, Judy, is what I'm paying my team. So if I'm paying because a lot of us have like, virtual businesses. And so they are clocking in. Some of them are clocking in hourly. Some of them are, on fee base. So they get paid a set amount per month or every 2 weeks. So I am now looking at what is it costing me to pay my team to do the actual work versus, and then what am I getting in return as far as profits after I pay them to do the work. And I'm looking at whether or not it's something that's worth it or something I want to continue on with as service. And then I'm like, okay, well then how do I streamline that process so that it doesn't require as much time? And then I'm looking at, do I want to bring in interns? Another thing that I'm looking at as I am in a crossroad with my business and even the business coach that I currently have now, she's only accepting people that are making $500K and more. So I just got in. So I got in last year. So like I just got in. So even though I wasn't at like the 500K, I'm surrounded by those people who are making 500K plus. And so when I just got off a call with them, everybody is talking about hiring. Like we're all in that phase to where it's like, okay, how do we build a team? How do we take more of ourselves out of it so that if we were to take a trip, go on vacation? And then another thing that the mentor talked about is that you have to think about what is the life that you want for yourself long term, and you build your company based on the life that you want for yourself long term, not fitting your company or your life around the actual business. So I'm like restructuring the way that I think. And I'm also, Judy, reading the book, which is Everyday Millionaire by Chris Hogan. And so now it's teaching me how other millionaires think and like what were some of their struggles. And then, Judy, I'm also thinking about like our what we think that we need to do in order to get to 7 figures. I'm like, how can I buy a company? Like, how can I buy an existing company and take on the acquisition of another company? And instead of like reinventing this wheel, and all of a sudden I get the revenue as well. So I'm looking at all of these different things that, you know, God has given me, because you will think that you have it planned out and mapped out in one way, and then God will come in and give you another strategy in order for you to be able to get there.
Okay, that is so good. My coach, I want to piggyback on two things you said. My coach, in the way of hiring, she says, hey, Jude, where are you going? You've got to hire based upon that org chart. Like, where are you in the end of 2021? And so that's the people you've got to get lined up now. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then she says, Jude, you got to look at every team member as entrepreneurs, she calls them. It's kind of weird, but like there's a profitability factor to each one. Even someone doing, you know, social graphics. Why? Because if they're more engaging, if they're more prettier or more in tune with my brand and more aligned, then she is impacting the profitability or not, right? So yeah, it's interesting when you get to that certain place in your business where you're thinking about these higher level issues. So I just love that. Well, let's leave our ladies with some tips. And I want to start here with diversifying your offerings. Now you've scaled back, and from what you've said in that recent post, and I want to make my business easy. I want it to be easy and light and fun. So, you know, there are some gurus out there that say you need all these different levels, you know, low end, high ticket, with a whole plethora of service offerings. And I personally don't think that is a good way to be when you're looking to scale. I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
So it took me a while to get here, but my thoughts today is that I want to focus in on two things. And so I do have two sets of audience. So one audience is, you know, women entrepreneurs that are six-figure earners, those that are aspiring to be six-figure earners. And so I know that those people are in my audience, as well as people that are making 7 and 8 figures. And then I also know that the other side to that is women in real estate, because I've been a real estate agent, you know, for 17 years now. And so, I have an anniversary. I think I might celebrate that. So I've been in real estate as of 17 years in February. So I started in 2004. And so my focus now is growing my real estate membership program, because there is a foundation that has been built and set over there, and the agents love it. And I have built a great community. And so I want to scale that up. And then the other side that I'm focused in on is the coaching aspect, and then just teaching people how to incorporate digital products and online services, because it is my testimony and what I have been able to do in my business. And so I have to where I have a free offer, I have a low end offer. And so when I say low end, for someone who is looking to work with six-figure earners and helping to scale to $1 million, I created an ebook, which is called the Scale to 7 Figures Playbook, the playbook that I released last month. And so that ebook is not your traditional ebook to where it's $25 or $35. It's actually $97. And it's $97 because it is an actual 150-page, you know, workbook to where people can now create their systems, their products, and their services that they want to use in order to scale to 7 figures and beyond. And so now I have that product, and then I have the high-end coaching program. And then for me, that's it. And then on top of that, what I would call supplemental income is the courses. It is the ebook. So those are the products that you create one time, and people are able to go and learn more about you. But like having all of these, spreading myself wide instead of having these two things that I'm focused in, and then just building deep and building a deep root within it. And that's exactly what I'm focused on. I don't want to spread myself thin. I don't want to spread myself wide. I know what the number is to get to 83K a month in my coaching program, which is just 83 people. I know what that's like to get to how many I need in my membership program, which is about 1,800. And then that's it. So it's like, you know, so I have multiple ways in order to get to the $1 million equation, but I don't want to do it to where I'm burnt out, I'm stressed, I'm ready to quit, throw the towel in, and then y'all wondering what happened to Makita, because she's another entrepreneur that has came and went, and then the chase of the money has taken her out. So I don't want that to be my story. So I recognize that early, and I'm taking precautions and measurements now to put in place so that is not my story.
That would never be your story. I mean, you have such a beauty in you, and I know it's the Lord Jesus Christ, how he's blessed you. And I think that was why I was drawn to you. So yeah, thank you for that. And it's just so neat to see how building a very successful business does not have to take 5 years or 10 years. So when you think about it, Makita, what did you do that maybe a listener could do? Like, do you have any secrets in like, oh man, by God's grace, I did this and that was the difference? Or, is there one thing you did that really propelled you?
So I would say that this is work, like period. So when I talked about the stages, it is work. So you go through the build, there is a grind process. So like, people tell you that they put their head down, they grind it out, and then you get up one day and you're like, oh my God, like the fruit of my labor has, brought all of these things that God has, brought the increase. But the one thing that has shifted, and it's not anything that I did, the one thing that shifted was my mindset. So I started to think in terms of like, when I seen, like you said, that something shifted in me, maybe summer of last year, what shifted in me was like, oh my God, I done made 6 figures in less than 6 months. And that is something that I have never, ever done before. And so when I seen that that was something that was possible for me, because I was actually living in it, and it was a walking testimony, it was a dream, and I woke up to it, then it took the limitations off of my mindset to be like, if that can happen, like what is the end of this year? And I really should have had like a 450K year, but I was a little bit, burnt out around, I think October. I was a little bit, so I took a step back, like during the holidays to like regroup. And then that's why December was the highest grossing month, because I came back from that. So now I am like looking at my business, picking it apart. Now that I see what's possible to go from the previous year, even 2017, Judy, when I started, that 2018 for Savvy Chicks in Real Estate was just a 28K year. Well, I don't want to say just, Lord, thank you. 28K year. And then in 2019, it was 100 and I think 17K year. And so then from 2019, it was in 2020, 331. So I'm seeing the numbers jump, and these numbers are 331% growth. It's like, 300% growth. So if I know that I can jump like that from 330, I know that this year can be $1 million year, just because I'm watching the growth. And so now what I would say to the ladies and lead the ladies, you have to think in terms, and what I'm trying to get everybody else to look at me and take me in as an example, because I know you hear people saying, well, I made this, I got the 7 figures, but look at what I came from. Like I tell the ladies, you journeyed with me on this. Like it was 28K, then you looked up, it was 100K. And so they have been able to see the growth, that even now with like the marketing, they see the marketing stepping up, and they're saying like, Makita, I've seen your growth. It's been a pleasure to watch you grow over the last 5 years, because they've been watching me. And so I would say, shift your mindset to what was possible. I have a client who invited me to be a speaker to her first billionaire conference. Now I'm like, I'm just trying to get to $1 million. And then here she comes with this billion. And I'm like, can I get to the $1 million first? So now it's like, okay, I don't want for $1 million to be foreign to us. I don't want for $1 billion to be foreign to us. I want for it to be something that we see as actually being achievable by studying what millionaires and billionaires do, knowing that we are not any different. Like we are not any different.
And I really appreciate that, what you said about women in business becoming millionaires should be, yeah, that's what we do.
Mhm.
And those that really push it and expand their business and choose to scale, we can get to the billion. And I come from a poor family. Dad was a factory worker. Mom stayed home. Like, we barely paid bills. So I have mindset issues around money that are slowly, I'm eliminating, but it takes time. So I really love what you said about that. And Makita and I, there was a time when we would be communicating like at midnight and 1 a.m., 1 a.m. my time, and Makita's time midnight. And she'd be like, "What are you doing up?" And I said, "Well, what are you doing up?" You're working. It's not something that's just going to happen. You have to work it. All right. So I want to end on this. Are we going to have another licensed and unbothered conference this year?
Yes.
Tell us
Yes,
about
we are. So
Good.
it is going to be the weekend of June 5th. I think it is the 5th, 6th, and 7th. I am looking at having a physical location. But if we do not have a physical location, because we have already sold 77 tickets as of last year, I haven't really been promoting it because I'm trying to see what's going to happen with it. But regardless, it is still going to be a conference this year. And what I'm thinking that I may do, that some of the gurus have been doing out there, is that I may keep my hotel that I have already booked out, and then have my speakers at the hotel. And then we still go on with the conference at the hotel, but then everybody else may be virtual. So they'll still get the full DJ experience, the fashion show experience, and, having the speakers before them, but it would be like a fun live event. But it may be virtual, just depending on, because we have, the shutdown and everything going on. So we'll see, but it will definitely happen.
That's excellent. It's called homecoming, right? So we're coming home.
Yes, homecoming. And so basically what it is, because Karen, who is my right hand at the company, she was like, what does this mean? And so what it means is that when you look at the world of real estate and women in real estate, we are often taught to compete against one another, and like we are each other's competitor. And so that I love the motto and the saying, community over competition. And so that is what, Savvy Chicks has always been about, is being savvy enough to be able to grow your own business, but help your sister to be able to do the same. And so with that being said, I wanted to let them know that when you come home to Savvy Chicks in real estate, like, you are home. This is homecoming. This is where you don't have to come in to compete with anybody. You can come in, let your hair down, talk about the stress, of the business, what's going on with family, and it's homecoming. So that is the meaning behind homecoming. Like, it's come home to Savvy Chicks in real estate.
Oh, I love it. Makita, thank you so much for joining me today. The ladies are going to love your input and feedback, and I just love watching you. So thank you so much for serving as that example for us.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Judy, for having me on yet once again. I love that, I think it may have been a year ago, but I appreciate the fact that since the last time I've been on here, that you have, really grown. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, ladies, thank you for joining us. If you like this episode, please consider leaving a rating and a review, because your opinion and feedback really matters. So thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.